All right, here we are. New year. I got a little bit of a new look, just temporary for a couple of reasons. I got to drag it out. But new year, new look over in this joint, but same old Dolphins. It's not killing us to lose this game. We got to beat the Jets next week, or else it's going to be one of the biggest collapses in this franchise's history. I mean, you're 8-3 and end up 8-9. 6 losses in a row is an epic collapse. And, the Dolphins lost by 2 points, but this Patriots team was just not good. And, I mean, they did enough to beat us, but there's no way with what we've invested that we should have lost. I mean, Mac and Teddy are a wash. Teddy's got more experience. So Teddy's really an advantage for us in the quarterback position. But we had 2 turnovers. We couldn't generate turnovers. It was just a penalty-laden game for both them and us, but we were just a little more sloppy. But the expectations for us was high. This is a game we should have won. Now, I got my little pad over here. If you see me looking down, I'm not losing my mind. I just, I'm getting old, so I need to write stuff down here. So Tehran's out. My man Tehran, who I said is absolutely critical to the season. He was irreplaceable. And then X was the other guy. He's out too. Fisher, who he signed to be a backup, kind of got excited about. He's out. He hasn't even played a game, and the guy's out. And then Chubb, he's out. We paid a massive sum for him, and he's out. Now, I kind of understand, this wasn't an absolute win. So maybe you take these star guys, give them a week rest, knowing how critical next week is. But even still, it don't feel right. And we should have won this game. Now, I said in my lead up, I screwed it up, man. I had kids running around here, dogs running around prepping for New Year's Eve, and I put Dolphins versus Jets matchups. I whacked it, had to pull it down, put it back up because the title was screwed up. I don't know whether I could just change the title or whatever. But in that one, I said, if Jones is benched and Eichenberg comes in, it's going to be a massive, massive piece of information and valuation for McDaniel and for this franchise. Because the reality is, Jones is way better than Eichenberg. I stopped counting at 10 bad plays for Eichenberg. He was terrible in the run block. I mean, terrible, flopping and falling. I have to do a buzz reel for this poor kid. I have no choice. I don't want to, but the reality is I've got to show it for what it is. And towards the end of the game, he was getting exposed. A couple of sacks were off him. There's no way this kid should be starting. And as someone in the comments said that McDaniel had stated that Jones earned the starting spot. Well, I guess he didn't earn it enough because Eichenberg is a 2nd and 3rd round pick. Jones should have been in there. The running game, as I talked about, inside zone, would have even had more effect and impact with Jones in there. And it was Lamb, the guy we pulled off the street to fill in case Tehran went down. I mean, which is totally insane. Tehran, I love him, man. I love that guy. I really do. Everything about him is awesome, except for the injury history. And you got to know that he might go down. So what's your backup plan? Jackson, no good. You get Shell off the streets, no good. You got Lamb, he goes down. You get Fisher, he doesn't even start. But before all that, you had Little. And Little was on your roster, a guy you were like, I believe in him. And then you get all these guys off the streets to start before him. Something does not make sense. And you got to go back to the designer. I know some people still want to hold on to Flores as the root of all evil. But clearly we're seeing something different because right now, after everything we've done, we're going to end up at best the same record as last year. And Flores didn't have the backing, a carte blanche of Ross and Greer, and he didn't have all this extra talent added on, and he had the 3 OCs. So really, this is very, very bad, and it could be abysmal next week. Hopefully we win. Hopefully we can beat the Jets, get into the playoffs, and somehow at the last minute, pull the fat out of the fire and make something of the season. I mean, this is disgusting. This is sad. This is terrible. It's gut-wrenching. It's one of the worst okie dokes that I've seen for my poor Fin fans in a long time. I mean, even I was a little reluctant, but I started going, this might be an avant-garde build, but something might come out of it, and it just pulls your heartstrings, throws it in the ground, sets it on fire, and drops a nuclear bomb on it and says, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Dolphin fans. So Teddy was having a pretty good game, but he's off here and there. We knew that. And then he made the Teddy big pick, was bad. And, that went into a touchdown, and he got knocked out. And then Skylar came in. And this is why, if you saw, I was happy Skylar didn't start, because it could have been a lot uglier. There was a few nice passes at the end, some nice move. The kid's got movement skills, and he could throw some good passes. You see that. But clearly, he was off on a bunch of them. He was struggling to read. This kid is a developmental project. I know people want just hope. Skylar's the guy. But if you're saying Skylar did good this game, then you're grading on a heavy curve. And if Tua had this kind of game, a lot of people have said trash. This guy's no good. But he's Skylar. He's the backup. He's the last ditch hope for us. So this kid needs at least another year of development. He needs an offensive line, a real run game. And I see some nice stuff, but clearly Tua at his best is better than the other two by a long shot. And it's not to say he's Hall of Fame or whatever, but clearly if we have three options, Skylar, Teddy, and Tua showed he is the best option, but he won't be here and likely won't be here for the rest of the season. He's still got concussion symptoms. And I think the chances are it's Teddy and Skylar till death do us part for 2022. Now, Eichenberg, guys, how does he start? And my thing was, if he starts over Jones, either our game plan is to throw the football a lot, which is not smart, or B, McDaniel just can't really evaluate offensive line properly, which would be scary. Or C, he's not really making a call. Somebody at the top who's got their name attached to the picks is saying, put this guy in. None of these three options are good ones. And I said, whatever happens in this, if Eichenberg starts, it's got to be judged heavily. Now, if he does really well, then these guys are smarter than us. And kudos to them. We need that. But if they flop and he flops and they put him in over Jones, man, you really got to step back and say, I really question a lot. So then it depends. We're undisciplined all over the place, just very undisciplined. That's got to go back to the head coach. Again, this is not about McDaniel sucking. McDaniel's a green coach who we brought in and said, okay, green coach. We're going to put all this capital into winning now, win now. It's ridiculous. It's not a good setup, a bad framework. And that goes back to whoever is the one telling, the system to go for it and go for it all this year, whether it's Ross or Greer or whoever, it did not set the situation up. And that goes back into, did you notice when he ran the football, things looked a little bit better? If we had run like this and had this style of an offense against San Fran or against Chargers, or against the Bills, or against Green Bay, how would have things looked? And it's very easy. Oh, well, it's easy to second guess it. I've been calling it. It's been clear. A lot of you have been calling the same thing. Why now do we break this style out and not weeks ago? I get maybe San Fran, you don't get it. 8 runs. And then you come back the next week, 5.4 yards per carry charges, and you run only 15, and it takes you like somewhere in a mid-second quarter to figure it out. But after that, man, it's kind of mysterious. And it's just a lot of mystery around a lot of convoluted questions. And this is heading in a dark direction. And the only way out is a win against the Jets. And then some kind of moral victory of either a very close game that where you lose, or a real victory where you win in your wild card spot and go to the next round. Other than that, this is disaster. And I'm very patient in my evals, but this is now DEFCON 2 or 3. I don't know, whatever. The second to the lowest we're at, okay? Because if we lose next week, man, it's the DEFCON 1 or 4, or it's trouble over bridge over troubled water, but no bridge. The bridge is on fire. So Noah, another guy that he comes over late on a TD, and he just lines up in front of the tight end with a safety behind him. That did not make sense. He should have kept going in front of the receiver. It wouldn't make sense that you would stop in front of a tight end and jam him when you got a safety behind you. And that was a touchdown. And, Noah crossing the secondary, who's not bad, a zone cover guy, but not a man guy. And we have very big problems in our secondary, big problems on the offensive line. But yet we decided to spend an arm and a leg on Chubb, spend an arm and a leg on Hill, and we are bare in key areas elsewhere. And that's concerning, considering we lost another first-round pick for Ross. So no takeaways. We're one of the worst at takeaways, and I kind of understand. But we really couldn't we got some pressure. Phillips and Wilkins and Landon Roberts had a nice blitz, but really with all we've spent. And did you really see much of a difference with Van Ginkel and Chubb out? Not really. Not really. So Mostert, I like Mostert. That run he had where he broke tackles and it's 2 weeks in a row. This guy's a talented player. He's a good pickup, but it's few and far between. Gesicki, we could see how he could play, but now he's about ready to go for Bupkis. We're going to get 0 for him. It's nothing. There's so many things that don't make sense. And it's not to say McDaniel sucks. No, I just don't think that anybody who's a member of the staff or a player has been set up with good framework or set up in a coherent framework with a coherent aim for the season that really allows success, true success. And that has to start at the top. And I don't even blame Greer, because it could very well be, Garfunkel, Finkel, whatever the guy's name is, or Ross saying, we got to win now. Who knows? But we're a long way away, guys. This Patriots team, they're sloppy. They got loads of penalties. Mac is He's okay. He's okay. I mean, he had some plays, but clearly there's something wrong. The OC is okay. Defense is good in many areas, but they're beat up. And what was the fourth and 4, and you don't pooch punted to get him to like the 10. I mean, even if you kicked it for 10 or 15 yards, it would have taken away so much drama. To me, it looks like Bill Belichick is just, I don't know. So part of me was like, he's hoping that they lose so he can get fired. It was so ridiculous. I mean, just pooch punt it. Just pooch punt it. That's all you got to do. 10 yards. The thing rolls. They got to run it. You burn off 10, 20 seconds. You get an extra 10, 15 yards. That was really weird. This team is a poor team we should have defeated. We didn't. And now we're going to go into next week. I don't know what's going to go on with the Jets game, but the Dolphins' best they could do right now is 9-8. And they could very well lose next week and what, I think maybe 4th in the division. Really? So I want to hear what you guys got to say. I'm very disappointed. I mean, I kind of felt the season was going to be hit or miss, but I didn't think the miss would be like this, guys. I'm hoping that we could still, at the last minute, some kind of heroism to pull it out. Anyway, so this is my little thing here. New style, but it's not permanent. I'm going to get back to the other thing. I want to get it out. It's New Year's Day. Tech guys are out, and I got some tech problems. So anyway, Fin fans, I don't know what to tell you. It's all going to be riding next year, because if we don't win next week, man, are you going to hear from a lot of people? And I think if that's the case, Greer and Ross and Garfinkel need to hear it from us. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Phins. Go. Building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.